everyone, today I'll be covering chain rule. The chain rule is a way to differentiate composite functions, and a composite function is just a function whose input is another function's output, for example, sine 2x. Here's the definition of the chain rule. You basically take the derivative of the outside function and multiply it against the derivative of the inner function. Here's a simple example using exponential. Let's say I have the example y is equal to x squared plus 4 raised to the fifth power. Well, we can see that there's an outside function, which is this exponential function, and the derivative of that we can just get using power rule, which is 5 times u to the fourth. And I'm just using u to substitute for the inner function because we don't want to be touching that inner function. Now, we should differentiate the inner function to x squared plus 4, which is just 2x. According to the chain rule, we multiply these two together, and then this is what we get. Another common problem type is trig functions. Here's the function sine of x squared. Just differentiate the outside function, which would be cosine, and the inside function, which is 2x. Multiplying them together, this is what we get. Chain rule can get quite complicated very quickly because chain rule, you can have and encounter functions inside of functions inside of functions, which makes chain rule get very complicated very fast. Here's an example. Let's say we have the function cosine squared of 5x. Well, we can see there's an outside exponential function, which we can differentiate using power rule. And then we have the next outer function, which is cosine, and that's the derivative of that is negative sine. But we still have one more function to differentiate, which is this inner function inside of the cosine function, or 5x, and that's just 5. Multiplying all these derivatives together, we end up getting this big expression. Keep in mind that the u's that I'm representing for the outside exponential function and the inside trig function are not the same. They're just placeholders for the inner function. Chain rule is very complicated, but it's very necessary and very useful to get down because you need it for implicit differentiation, which I'm going to be covering in my next video. Thank you guys for watching.